Hey everyone, how's it going? Last time we talked about anxiety and how I struggled with that for a while in my life. It was good to get it off my chest and good to try to help people who might be going through the exact same thing. Actually, I had someone reach out to me about some struggles they were having in their own lives, and that was what I said from the beginning of this YouTube series, is that I just wanted to help one person. So when that person reached out, it was very special for me to see that I hope someone with their life is really cool, and honestly, it makes it all worth it. So for the next video, this one, I'm really going to break down and ask the question, what do we want? Goals in our lives that we believe are achievable, that is until we get to the point where we see the work that needs to be put into them, and instead of doing that work, we decide to just quit. Now, quitting isn't necessarily an issue, and quitting isn't something that we should be ashamed of, especially when we realize that thing is not actually what we wanted in the beginning. For instance, if you want to start a business or something that is continuous, like working out, reading the Bible, praying daily, or any of those things, you always have to know that you're not going to get there in one day. My pastor's been talking about Proverbs for a while now, and there's one of those sermons that kind of hit me. The fact that we shouldn't be sluggards, and I love the word sluggards. I'm pretty sure that everyone knows what that means when I say sluggard. If you don't, look it up. If we really want to be successful at something, we have to start putting want and work together, because if we want something, it's going to require us to do work. If I am wanting to start a company, I'm going to have to do a ton of work, or starting from the ground floor up, right? There's businesses that you start from the ground, and then there's businesses you kind of take over and then you expand and what have you, right? But when you start from the ground floor, you have to understand the customer base, you have to understand your margin, your amortization, your equipment needs, your labor needs, your spatial needs, and all of these things that you have to account for. And if you don't account for them, you're not going to be successful because your pricing won't be right and you're going to fail, most likely. That's going to cost you money. And if you do not do that, you don't have the time to plan it, it'll never be successful. So if you're not going to be willing to put a plan together, or if you're not willing to put the effort forward, then are you really willing to run the company? Next thing I would say is work. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be also listening to someone who knows business, or in the case of working out, has done it a lot in their lives. Like, I know a bunch of people who work out, and I take their advice on getting my 6'7" self past 170 pounds. It's been tough. If they tell you what to do and it falls on deaf ears, then you're not going to be successful. Or you may be successful, but it's not going to be as quickly as it could be if you took advice from people who know what they're doing. Now, business and working out are two examples, and they're most likely the most common. But what are some of the other things that we would want? Is it spiritual growth? Is it love? Is it friendships? Is it money? And be careful when you say money, because money can be the root of all evil. Trust me when I say, if you make a lot of money, it's not, and you say that I'm going to give a lot to charity, but you don't give to charity now, then you're lying. You will never have enough money to give to charity. Another thing to think about is your time. Is the goal of what you're wanting worth the time away from friends, family, your church family, etc.? The next principle I want to talk about is product and process. And my pastor talks about this. Any product comes with a process because of what things have to be planned in order for us to be successful. We cannot just say one day, I'm going to start woodworking like I did, and then the next day just start woodworking. That requires a ton of equipment, requires lumber, requires some sort of skill, still working on that, depending on what you want to do. Now, with all that being said, I'm actually going to lay out what I want in this video. So what I want is for this YouTube channel to be something that helps people and motivates people. I do not care about being a YouTube star, and I don't care about making money from this, to be quite honest. If I do either of those things, that'd be pretty cool, but that's not my goal. But with that, I know that if I don't start posting weekly, or at least bi-weekly, to reach as many people as possible, then I'm not going to have a successful time with trying to help and motivate as many people as possible. And I say that because some of the richest people, our biggest YouTube stars, waited several years just to get their big break. I'd go look up Mr. Beast and see his entire career of how he started, and you will see how much work it takes. He did it in such a good way, but it took so much time, and his videos weren't hitting anything for the first several years until he started to count to 10,000. I think it's 10,000. It might be 100,000 on video. He just counted to 100,000. That was his big break, or one of them. Now, the next item I want to talk about is woodworking. So I started a company, Uncommon Creations, and I do woodworking. I have a ton of fun doing woodworking, but I also have a ton of fun watching people as they get their stuff and say how much they love it. It's not to toot my own horn. It's to make others have joy and feel good about the things that I've made them. And it motivates me to make them more. It's really cool to understand and to see people love something that I've made. It's like the videos. I love seeing that people can be helped by me talking about the struggles that I've had in my life. But I also know with the woodworking that if I don't put in the time and effort it takes, then I'm going to not have a successful long-term business. If that's my ultimate goal. Right now, it's not. My goal currently is to just stay steady with it, to have fun with it. Because as soon as it starts becoming something that I don't love to do anymore, then it's going to become something I have to do. And I don't want that to be the case. Now, one more thing we need to keep in mind with anything that we choose, whether it's business, working out, becoming more spiritual, praying every day, and whether it's doing all of these things or just any of these things, we need to be consistent. We need to be intentional. We always need to keep learning. We always need to keep innovating our product or figuring out ways that we can do these things better. And if we own a business, we always need to make sure to put the customer first and that the customer is getting exactly what they paid for, even if that means tearing it all apart and redoing it the next day. With that being said, these are the kinds of things that I see myself doing in the future with these videos and with my future woodworking. I see myself consistently making woodworking projects for people, whether it's for decor or whether it's remembering someone who has passed. We have to keep putting effort into the things we want, whether that's our time with people, whether that's our resources for people, whatever it is, always put in the effort to reach your goals. And the last thing is, if you don't reach your goal and you realize that really wasn't your goal, then shut up about it. And the reason I say shut up about it isn't to be rude. It isn't to say, oh, hey, you can't do it, shut up. It's if you aren't willing to put the effort in, if you're not willing to say, this is a goal I actually want to achieve, then stop bringing yourself down by trying to achieve goals that you never wanted to do anyways. Because it will always linger if you don't shut up about it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe, and all the things. Have a good night.